Tonight, a special video of one of my favorite albums, of my favorite band, of all time, in any genre. We have Ride the Lightning by Metallica. This is their sophomore effort, their second album, released July 27th, 1984, 1 year and 2 days after their debut, Kill 'Em All. Released on Megaforce Records, recorded in Copenhagen, however you want to say it, Denmark, in the spring of 1984, released in the summer. Produced by Flemming Rasmussen. This was their last effort with Megaforce Records before they went with Elektra for 1986's classic album. The track listing is as follows. Fight Fire with Fire, the first track, which is 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And this is a song about nuclear Armageddon. And the acoustic intro in the beginning was somewhat polarizing to fans at the time of hardcore metal who had fallen in love with Kill 'Em All and were kind of thrown off by the fact that Metallica had a song with acoustic guitars. But the acoustic intro of Fight Fire with Fire is to sort of evoke sort of a tranquil, say, sunny, calm day before all hell breaks loose, quote unquote, with nuclear Armageddon, which is the theme of the song Fight Fire with Fire. It is the fastest song on Ride the Lightning, and it does such a great job of just setting the bar very high and introducing fans to what Ride the Lightning would sound like. And the second song on the album is the title track, Ride the Lightning, which is and in interviews and in things I've read, less a critique of capital punishment than it is sort of a song about the last thoughts of someone who might be on death row sentenced to the electric chair. You can see the album cover is an electric chair getting struck by lightning, and that is sort of the main overall theme of the album, and this track really exemplifies that. It's one of the longer tracks on the album. It's over 6 minutes, and less of a political statement, as Lars and James have both said. It's more just a song about what would be going through someone's mind in that situation of being sentenced to death in the electric chair. The opening riff, the lead intro, was actually first written by Dave Mustaine. And it's the last song, any Metallica song, that had writing credits to Dave Mustaine. But that original riff he wrote. And another thing that sort of took fans for a loop and shocked them and took some of them off was that this album was slower than Kill 'Em All. But it was bigger, it was grander, it was more epic. And part of that was because their bassist, Cliff Burton, who actually went to school for music and playing, introduced music theory to the main songwriter, James Hetfield. And so he sort of his influence helped mature the band and grow their songwriting. And that's why we see the leap of sort of quality from Kill 'Em All to this one. Martin Popoff, a metal music writer, critic, said, Ride the Lightning is where extremity met art. An example of one of the earliest thrash albums ever recorded. But again, some of the songs took hardcore metal and punk fans who had been fans of Kill 'Em All before this, took them by surprise. And the third track, a concert staple, a classic in the Metallica discography and live set list is For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is named after an Ernest Hemingway story of the same name about the injustices or cruelties of war. It's actually, I think, loosely based off of the Spanish Civil War, but it's an Ernest Hemingway novel, For Whom the Bell Tolls. And the lyrics are very poignant. They're very dire, and they're very dark. And I would say overall this album is a little deeper than Kill 'Em All. You could see that this band had matured and their songwriting had followed suit. The fourth track is actually a power ballad. Call it what you will, but it is a power ballad. But it is far removed from the power ballads of the day. It is called Fade to Black. It has an acoustic intro as well, which, made many hardcore metal fans at the time also stop dead in their tracks and say, what's going on? Is Metallica betraying us? But no, they were not. They were just exploring and growing their songwriting skills and decided to write a ballad, maybe in the style of a thrashier, darker Stairway to Heaven. Or maybe even some Black Sabbath influence in there. Black Sabbath is one of the main influences to Metallica. That's no surprise. James has said that in multiple interviews. But the song is a build-up, and it's a suicide note. And that had never really been done before, except maybe on Judas Priest's album, Stained Class, with Beyond the Realms of Death, which is an absolute stone cold classic, and I think really paved the way for songs like Fade to Black by Metallica. The fifth track is a song called Trapped Under Ice, which is about, similar to the title track, Ride the Lightning, is about someone who is slowly dying from cryosleep in a cryogenics lab and the thoughts that they would have during that. It's very dark, but the whole theme of the album is sort of a us versus them kind of theme, a sort of the common man versus the injustices of government or criminal justice systems or the powers that be, so to speak. The whole theme of the album, and this would later be further explored on, upcoming albums. The whole theme of this album is the everyday man unjustly, perhaps, getting harsh punishment from the powers that be. And who are these powers? Well, it's never really stated outright. But Trapped Under Ice is a song that they don't play live much. I don't know why, because I really like it. It thrashes from beginning to end. It's short, sweet, to the point. It's fast, but they don't play it live much, and they have said in interviews recently that it's one of the worst songs they wrote, which I disagree with. I think they only say that because it didn't do well and it wasn't popular, so they go back and say, oh, we just, made a mistake writing that. I mean, no, don't say that. Be proud of the material you wrote. I think it's a great song. Don't just say it's not good because it's not popular. It's a great thrashing classic song. Had it been a song on any other album except this one, such a classic with such a high standard, it would have been a stone cold classic. But because the bar was raised so high with this album, it's considered one of the lesser songs on the album. The next album is another sort of us versus them album called Escape, which is sort of a James penned lyric and song that's sort of a refusal to go with the status quo, which he would often visit on albums after this. It's sort of a, even the lyrics say they can't tell us what to do, they may try, but in the end, I'll always be me. That's sort of the theme of the song. And this would be this would be brought out further in more Metallica songs in the future. But this theme, you can definitely see he revisits this theme again and again because he likes it or he thinks it's sort of pertinent to maybe this country or politics or young people who like metal. The next song is straight out of the book of Exodus and to the land of ancient Egypt, the 10 plagues of Egypt, called Creeping Death. The title is a reference to the angel of death who killed the firstborn in Egypt when Pharaoh refused to let the people of Israel go per Moses' request. And interesting to note, at this time, the band had watched the Ten Commandments starring Charlton Heston, and one wonders if they got that influence from that movie or perhaps reading from scripture. Cliff Burton was an avid reader, and he had a big influence and push in getting this song done. He could have been, flipping through the pages of the Bible, or they could have been watching, old movies like Ten Commandments, which I've read they did. They were actually fans of old movies, including Westerns, The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, which, the intro to their live sets would be The Ecstasy of Gold by Ennio Morricone, who composed the music for the Dollars trilogy. So they especially Lars was a huge movie fan, and they would incorporate and get ideas of those themes in movies into their songs. But this was one of the first Metallica songs I heard, probably. It's powerful, it's heavy, it's fast. It sort of begins with, Pharaoh's refusal to let the people of Israel go, and then sort of God's judgment in bringing about the 10 plagues of Egypt to him for refusing, and the last one being the death of the firstborn male son. Even the lyrics to the song go, I creep across the land, killing firstborn man. So let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen one. So let it be written, so let it be done. To kill the firstborn Pharaoh's son, I'm creeping death. A subject that really hadn't been done before by a metal band. There are certainly biblical references in other metal songs, but this was sort of the first time a direct reference had been made to something in Scripture. And I remember hearing the breakdown, the bridge in the song, with the audience participation, of, die, die, by my hand. And I just remember thinking, wow, they took the heaviness of Black Sabbath and they made it faster and more epic. There's no denying that Sabbath is the innovators of heavy metal as we know it, and those big fat guitar riffs. But Metallica took that and then added some Motorhead speed to it, and then added a touch of their own to make it epic, grand, and catchy. The guitar harmonies at the end of this song are wonderful. I mean, that is also Cliff Burton, the bassist's influence in helping educate James and Lars about music theory. He was the only band member who had been, formally schooled about music. And he is the direct reason that Ride the Lightning songwriting is so far and above Kill 'Em All's. I do love Kill 'Em All. They're neck and neck as to which I like, but there's no denying that there is a maturity in the lyrics and the songs to this album than the prior one. And that is thanks in large part to Cliff Burton. And the last song, one of the most popular, one of my favorite, it has no lyrics, and it is called the Call of Cthulhu, or Tulu, who is a mythological being in H.P. Lovecraft writings. And Cliff Burton, once again, was a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft, who was a short story horror writer in the early 20th century. And Cliff just really was a big fan of his, and he sort of introduced that horror mythological theme from his writings to the other band members who didn't know who he was at the time. And H.P. Lovecraft stories and themes would be visited on later songs and albums as well. But that, again, was Cliff Burton and his influence to the band. Call of Cthulhu won a Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Performance in 2000, which was right after their S&M 1 concert with the San Francisco Orchestra. So it did win that award. The bass line in it is also a Cliff Burton contrived riff. The dark, sinister nature sort of evokes the feeling of a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's writings, which were very dark, mysterious, and somber. And Cliff, again, had a huge influence in that coming about. And then the album ends, and it's really just a powerhouse from beginning to end. There are really not many low points, if any. You could argue Escape is probably a low point for me. The rest of the songs are, drop-dead classics. It's the shortest Metallica album released to date. There's not a wasted minute or second on the album. It's probably my first. Again, depends on what day you ask me. It varies. It could be Master of Puppets a week from now. It could be Kill 'Em All 2 weeks from now. It could be Injustice for All, which I have a poster of behind me. It could be that. And I even love the Black Album, which is controversial. A lot of people who are fans of the first 4 Metallica albums do not like the Black Album, but I do. And we'll get into that in later videos, but I see no reason to bash it. But for right now, Kill 'Em All. Not Kill 'Em All. What am I thinking? Ride the Lightning, a classic, their sophomore effort, released July 27th, 1984, was the starting point of Metallica really hitting it big and becoming one of the, if not the greatest band of heavy metal music. Thank you.